Hey there, and welcome. So today, we're diving into a text with a pretty wild claim that a big part of our digital life is actually built on, get this, engineered unhappiness. It's a really fascinating, maybe even a little unsettling, take on the whole influencer economy, and we're going to break it all down.
Right off the bat, the source hits us with this really powerful idea. It's not just that we use our screens. The argument is that our minds have they've moved in. They've migrated to this alternate universe that's living right there behind the glass. And honestly, this one idea, it's the key to understanding everything else we're about to get into.
Okay, so the first big concept the source throws at us is something it calls the pillar of dissatisfaction. And the idea behind it is, well, it's simple, but it's also pretty profound. That feeling of unhappiness so many of us get, it's not an accident. It's designed. It's engineered.
So, what exactly is this pillar? Well, think of it like this. It's a constant state of misery and envy. And what's fueling it? That relentless, non-stop comparison to the picture-perfect lives we see online. The source is arguing that this fire hose of curated success, beauty, and wealth, it's all designed to do one thing: make you feel like your own life just doesn't measure up. But here's the thing. This feeling of dissatisfaction, it doesn't just stay bottled up inside. Nope, it actually changes how we act. According to this text, the moment we start feeling like our own reality is lacking, that's when we start performing a new one for an audience we call followers.
And the way the source puts it is pretty striking. It's talking about a complete departure from reality, a world where your own point of view gets totally replaced by the imagined gaze of your followers. Just think about that. Every single moment is filtered through this lens of, how will this look to other people? And it all boils down to this one question. According to the source, this question right here reveals a massive psychological shift. It becomes the engine, the driving force behind everything the performer does. The goal isn't to live a life anymore, it's to produce a life, one that's interesting enough for other people to watch and consume.
This source actually goes into a case study where this mindset just completely takes over. Every single moment is driven by that one question. Everything gets broadcast: relationships, kids, what you buy, what you think. And the argument is that this obsession with sharing, it just consumes you. It stops being something you do and it becomes who you are. So you might be wondering, how does this whole system actually work? How does it, make money? Well, that brings us to the absolute core of the argument, what the text calls the currency of trust. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. This is the point where human connection gets turned into a commodity, into something you can buy and sell.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. Think about trust. We usually see it as this basic, fundamental human bond, right? But here, it's being reframed as a type of capital. And once trust becomes a currency, well, just like any other currency, it can be manipulated, it can be devalued, and it can be spent. It completely changes the game.
The source then breaks it down into a pretty simple 4-step playbook. Step 1, the influencer shares personal, sometimes very personal details. Why? To build trust with their followers. Step 2, they leverage that trust to sell you stuff. And what's the end goal? Financial gain, which the source specifically calls mammon, that old biblical term for the corrupting power of money. Pretty pointed word choice.
So here's the absolute crux of it, and it's this relationship that seems kind of backwards when you first hear it. According to the source, the more this person overshared, the more authentic they seemed, and the more people trusted them. And that trust, that becomes the direct pipeline to influence and, you guessed it, a paycheck.
Okay, but what's the human cost in all of this? What's the catch? Well, the source paints a pretty grim picture, to be honest. It describes this really dark, symbiotic relationship between the influencer and the viewer. It's a system where the definition of who wins gets pretty twisted.
So let's break down the two sides of this equation. You've got the influencer who's broadcasting this easy, breezy, totally attainable life of luxury, and then you have the viewer who sees this and thinks, hey, I should be able to have that too, and just gets more and more frustrated. But here's the kicker. The source claims they're both trapped. The influencer is stuck in an empty chase for money, and the viewer is being ruined by all that dissatisfaction.
And the source gets really specific about the emotional damage this does to the viewer. It's not just about feeling sad. No, it's this toxic mix of feelings, a constant restlessness, a deep-seated irritation with your own life, and just this general edginess that seeps into everything.
And all of this builds to the source's final, chilling conclusion. Everybody wins. I mean, how cynical is that? But let's be clear. When it says everybody, it's not talking about the influencer or the follower. Oh no. The real winners, it argues, are the architects of the whole system, the ones who are actually profiting from all this manufactured misery and the endless cycle of buying stuff it creates.
So that leaves us with one last, pretty provocative question to think about. As we're all navigating this digital world, the source really forces us to ask ourselves, if trust really is a currency now, what's the true cost of earning it and spending it? What are we all collectively paying in this new economy?